Hello, welcome to the channel. I am Say Hi Paul, and this is Warhammer 40,000 9th edition. So, before we go any further, this is going to be a narrative game. All my games are narrative. I also use house rules. I also have quite a distinctive style when it comes to editing or not editing. I have quite shaky camera angles, and I tend to randomly go off on tangents a lot. If that doesn't sound like your thing, then this video is probably not for you. So, having got all of that out of the way, now let's talk about the scenario. And also, disclaimer, I'm using a stabilizing gimbal for the first time, and I am just getting used to it. So the camera may occasionally randomly move around when I do something wrong. Okay, so where are we? We are on a desolate human world that has long since felt the foot tread of any of the agents of mankind? Yeah, let's go with that. No people have lived here for a very long time. The old buildings have started to crumble, and the world has started to come back to life. Nature has started to return. One of the reasons for human civilization failing entirely on this world was the advent and the appearance of the Orks. Ooh, shadow, gimbal shadow. Who have rampaged across this planet and are currently building whatever Xenos devices they can to get off this rock. Oops. And onto other worlds to start to tear them down. This is the beginnings of a waaaagh. Now, the Cicatrix Maledictum has ripped through Imperial space, and the Monkey and giving a bit away there, and the Imperium and all of their allies, or potential allies of convenience, other sentient races who don't want to be brutally murdered by the ruinous powers, are under extreme duress. And the Eldar Craftworld of Ulthwe, the Seer Council, have read the skeins of fate, have followed the strands of probability, and determined that by certain actions on this world, by interfering with these orcs, they can be directed not at human worlds, well, not at monkey worlds, and away from Eldar Craftworlds, but straight into the path of the ruinous powers. So the Craftworld of Ulthwe have come here to interfere, to wend their magic. That's not magic, really. To twist and turn the fates like a twisty, turny thing, and basically get the Ork to go where they want them. Now, one of the Ork weird boys has had a vision. He has seen the ones with the pointy ears. They're coming out of nowhere. And one of their mechs has gone, all right then, where? He's gone, there, where, there. And the Orks is coming. The Eldari plan was to try and infiltrate the planet sneakily and do a number of surgical precision attacks, but they had not foreseen the prophecies of Mork and Gork, or possibly Mork and or possibly Gork, that mean the Orks are coming before they're ready. So they have very limited forces in place, and they are having to send them to intercept the Orks. So, the game is roughly 1750 points. We are playing a scenario from the rule book that has a name. It's called Vital Intelligence. Now, if you read the description of the of that scenario, it's all about gathering intel from the enemy. We're not using it for that purpose. We're just using the scenario as two battle lines meet. I can't wave my other hand together because it's holding the gimbal, but basically there's an objective line down the middle of the board, and there's an objective in each deployment zone. Each of the Xenos will be on one side or the other, and it's about controlling objectives plus secondaries. If this were a genuine intelligence gathering mission, it wouldn't be this scenario for a start, and we would be using the intelligence gathering secondary, which we are not. I say we. The other thing I meant to mention at the start is we is me. This game is played against myself. I am going to be playing both sides. I'm going to be as impartial as I possibly can and just think about the turn ahead. And where I have to make a decision and I can't decide on partiality, I will roll a dice to decide. So, what next? Yes, now let's talk about house rules. As I mentioned earlier, I operate house rules. If you want to know why the individual rules are what they are, there's a video on this channel called Welcome. No, hang on. There's a called Ninth Ed and House Rules. If you want to know the detail, check that video out. If you want to know a bit more about me and why I do what I do, that's what the Welcome video is for, but that's just all up to you. The house rule... Oh, gimbal, slowly turn. I'm having to use a little joystick to make it turn the way I want to, a little bit slower. Okay, so these are the house rules, which I'll go through briefly. If you want to know details, as I say, check that video out, but we will go into them as we come to them. Some of them will affect, some of them won't affect. Quick run through. No scaling on smite, just casts on a 5+. No restrictions on multiple castings of the same psychic power. Don't think that's going to come into effect today. No plus or -1 limit on hit and wound rolls. That will definitely come in. I ignore the coherency checks, but then again, I remove casualties in coherency anyway, so that's kind of irrelevant. Don't do command point rerolls. I also don't limit the stratagems to one use per phase. It's narrative. No super heavies. Any ability that ignores damage, multiple abilities stack up, and characters can charge with units. That one, I'll explain a bit more when it comes up, but basically, if a character is in coherency of a unit, rather than doing two separate charge rolls, I just do one, and they either both succeed or both fail. The most important rule, however, isn't written on here, which I need to actually write on here, is I use my common sense. If something doesn't feel right from a narrative point of view, I tweak it as I go along. This is all about playing out the story and having fun doing that. So I think... Oh, gimbal. The thing is, you see, the gimbal's a stabilizer, so when I move my arm around, it points the camera in the same direction, and I'm just getting used to that. Okay. So, talked about scenario, talked about the planet and what's happening on the planet. The Orks are coming earlier than the Eldar would like, so it's a fight. House rules, etc. Right. Anything else I've forgotten we'll go through as we go along, but the next thing is to go and have a look at the armies. So here is the Eldar Ulthwe Warhost. So this is quite an old army. A lot of these models I bought back in 2nd Ed, and then the first time I made it into a proper army was in 4th, and I think the last time I played it was 6th. I played it a bit in Bland Ed, aka 5th for those of you who don't know. In 6th, I think I played it once or twice. So we have some quite old models here. The gun crew of the metal weapons platforms, they're quite old. These Warwalkers are... Oops, gimbal. I've been having technical trouble with the gimbal. These Warwalkers are super old. As are a lot of these Warlock sculpts, even though they are actually technically... Come on, gimbal. Oh, wrong way. It's like got an inverted axis thing going on. Oh, I've been having technical trouble with the gimbal. I've been struggling to get it to recenter. Anyway, so before I go through the individual units, I'll talk a little bit as the army as a whole. So, Craftworld Ulthwe, back in the days when the Eye of Terror was a thing, was situated very, very close to the Eye of Terror. And as such, there are arguments in Eldari circles as to the exact reason for this, but they have a disproportionate number of seers, warlocks, and farseers. Eldar follow the tradition of the paths, which is the Asuryani way, because the Eldar mind is so complex and can be. It's very difficult for them to be they can. Oh, how best to describe the Eldar mind? It's big and vast and complicated, and it can go down all sorts of different rabbit holes, which kind of do things like accidentally give birth to gods like Slaanesh. So that's bad. So when that was happening, and a lot of the Eldari were in pleasure cults and blood cults and so on, most of which are now nestled in the dark city of Cormoror, some of the Eldari who thought, yeah, that's not on, that's not cricket, we don't want to do that, they got into massive spaceships that they built called Craftworlds and legged it away from their homeworld cluster because they knew something was going to go badly wrong. And in order to rein in the more extreme power, the more extreme nature, they follow a path. And then they do it, they complete it, they get as good as they possibly can at it, then they move on to another one. And the paths are basically like jobs. Like seer, dire avenger, butcher, baker, carpenter, bone singer, all that stuff, all the good stuff. Now the Eldari have a disproportionate number of seers. The Ulthwe have a disproportionate number of seers. Now some people say it's because they are tainted, because they're so close to the Eye of Terror. Others say they're so close to the Eye of Terror, so they need lots of seers because you fight fire with fire. Kinda. I don't know quite how that works. But, so, as a result, the Craftworld Ulthwe have a disproportionate number of seers and fewer aspect warriors. And as such, they maintain a standing garrison of guardians, known as the Black Guardians. What are they called? Guardians are basically reservists. Every Eldari is trained to be a guardian, and when the call to war comes, they put aside the butchering, baking, candlestick making, and don the guardian armour and pilot tanks, war machines, and occasionally form defensive units. Ulthwe maintain a standing army of these. So you will notice from this army there are no aspect warriors. Sometimes there are aspect warriors in an Ulthwe army, often in fact, just not very many. There are more guardians. In this particular force, however, there aren't any, because this is... The Ulthwe haven't got many assets planet side yet, and they are responding with what they've got to the imminent Ork threat. So, hence some of the faster units, like Guardians on jet bikes, or Wind Riders, and Vipers, and Warwalkers, and so on. And some Rangers that have seen things coming. So, what have we got? I'll try and keep this as brief as possible, because my brain is winding as I said it would. So, what do we have? Okay, so we have 5 Wind Riders with twin shuriken catapults. So they're short range. We have a Wave Serpent with twin star cannons. They're basically the Eldar equivalent of plasma cannons. I think it's strength 6, -3 AP, D3 damage, 2 shots per cannon. This one also has vectored engines and star engines, meaning that it can advance 2d6 when it advances, and it's -1 to be shot at when it's advanced. The Vipers are fast skimmers. They have a shuriken cannon and an Eldari missile launcher each. 1 unit of Warwalkers with 2 star cannons each. Same stats as the star cannons I just described on here. They move pretty quick. They are nippy, and they have a force field save. They have an invulnerable save, basically because the pilot is sat out the front like this, like a sore thumb. There's a force field generator over him to try and, keep him sort of alive a bit. Now, they can outflank. They have a special rule that lets them come on from the sides, but I don't think I'm going to use that today. I think they're going to be sat on the table. 5 Rangers with sniper rifles that can target characters, and cameo line cloaks to give them extra saves in cover. They can also effectively infiltrate, so they can set up on the table from reserves, or they can set up in the first turn somewhere else on the table, should they want to. 5 Wraithguard, which are a lot smaller and skinnier, these old metal ones, than the new plastic ones. They have a gun that I can't remember the name of, because there was only one gun when I put these together. It's the strength 10, it's the distort cannon, basically. It's a big, I think it's single shot bada boom weapon. I think it's strength 10, minus 4 or 5, and d6 damage. Obviously, I'll get it right when we come to it. 10 Guardians with Shuriken Catapults, which are 12 each range, and 1 support weapon. Heavy 4, strength 6, big range, no AP. Similar with a Bright Lance, which is kind of like a las cannon. And then we have 16 Storm Guardians who have close combat weapons and pistols. And 2 of the models in there have flamers. Okay, so now when I created this army, you used to have warlocks as the unit champions. So there'd be a warlock there. There'd be a warlock with each of the guardian units. There'd be a warlock on a bike. My warlock on a bike conversion is terrible. I mean, it really is bad. I'm glad I don't have to use it. You can't do that now. And because of the way the new 9th Ed detachments work, I can't take a Supreme Command detachment to put like 3 warlocks in it so I can dot them around. It's massively expensive and it really doesn't do very much. It's just a big point sink, but it's incredibly narrative, and I'm super, super sad I can't do it. But these 3 guys. So, these are all HQ. The Warlock Conclave of 5 models is a Psyche unit. It has Enhanced Drain, Empower Innovate, and the Ghost Walk Psychic Power. Ghost Walk being one from the Phoenix Rise, the Psychic Awakening book. Basically, they can swap Smite for Ghost Walk or one of these other. I think it's Ruse of Fortune, I think. Or something or other. It basically adds 2 to a charge. So these can buff or debuff rolls to hit and rolls to wound. They are a punchy unit. And we have 2 Farseers. This one on the left is the Warlord. Has the Fate Reader, Warlord trait, which is the Ulthwe special one. At the start of each turn, it can generate command points on the roll of a 6, which we'll be doing. And he has Doom and Fortune. He's very much a pluck at the strands of fate kind of person. So, Fortune to try and keep units of Eldari alive, Doom to try and keep units of Orks dead. And to the Farseer is, let's just say he's a little bit more enthusiastic about getting rid of the enemy. He has a Remnant of Glory, which is Falchu's Wing, which gives him a 12-inch move and the fly keywords. He can be hopping about. He's the Murder, Death, Kill Farseer. He has Executioner, Mind War, and Smite. So, Mind War for killing characters, Smite for killing anything, and Executioner for killing anything. Lots of mortal wound damage there. He's a kill stuff, he's a buff stuff, or debuff stuff. And I think... Oh, come on, Gimbal. Yes, that's right. No, wrong way. Command points, yes. Oh, and secondary objectives. You see, I'm not cheating. I've not got a book with it all written down. So we start with 12 command points. Oops. Spending 3 of those straight away on Webway Portal. And I am putting this unit of Guardians into the Webway. and this unit of bikes into the webway. And so they can emerge on subsequent turns more than 9 inches away from an enemy unit. The what's the word? Rangers. These ones will appear unbidden in reserves. Everything else is starting on the table. Okay, so secondary objectives. I've tried to pick these from a narrative perspective. So, they're going to have first strike. They want to hit the Orks and hit the Orks hard before they get any kind of foothold. So, 5 points for killing a unit in the first turn. Attrition. Attrition's super important for Eldar. There aren't very many of them. They're a dying race, and they die very, very, very easily. So it's important to the Eldar to kill more of the enemy than they do of themselves. So they get 4 points if more enemy units die in a battle round than friendly units. And assassinate. Orks are pack beasts. They follow the strong. And so, yeah, we're going to kill them. Because whilst there is a wider mission on this planet, the imminent issue is not having our landing site, landing inverted commas, we've come out of the webway, but our landing site not being compromised. So we're going to hit them, and hit them hard. Right. Let's have a look. Oh, did I actually explain before about the objectives? I don't think I did. There's one in each deployment zone. That will be the one here, and then the one there. And there's a line of 4. Come on, Gimbal. There's a line of 4 down the middle of the table, all 12 inches apart. One of them being up here on this objective. Which has just reminded me, I didn't go through terrain. I'll go through terrain. So these woods are dense. So they're -1 to hit or shoot through them, but they don't add bonuses to cover. And they're difficult ground. And they're... Come on, Gimbal. And they're difficult ground. These craters are light cover, so +1 to armor saves if you stood in them. And they are difficult ground. They're difficult ground, -2 to move. This is the only ruin on the table, so follows the standard rules for ruins. So light cover isn't difficult to move through. And it blocks line of sight through it, but not onto it. And these buildings, I'm just going to treat as light cover for being on them. And maybe defensible for the barricades. I kind of see what works as we go. Yeah, okay, so that's the Eldar and the brief interlude to talk about the scenery. Let's go and take a look at the Orks. Right, here come the Orks. I mean, this is my Ork army. So what do we have? So, yellow, bad moons. So, the richest of the Orks, they are festooned with lots and lots of stuff that they have bought, because their teeth grow faster than any other type of Ork, and as Orks use teeth for currency, it makes them stinking rich. Now, Orks don't see this as an unfair advantage, because a bigger Ork can just knock their teeth out and take them. So all's fair in Ork and Ork. Right, so we have a bit of a mix. These are relatively fast units, as in they're all the fast units I've got, because all my other fast stuff isn't painted yet, and it's not going to be yellow. Anyway, I digress. So, what do we have? So, where to start? Let's do it in the opposite order to which I did the Eldar. I have to say, this is going to be one of the most peculiar battle reports to do. I'm going to have to go from sophisticated and adroit with the Eldar to just what with the Orks every single time. It's going to be interesting. So the army is led by a big mech in mega armor, and he has a teleport blaster, which is a funky weapon that, if it does a wound but doesn't destroy the model, has a chance of killing it utterly and teleporting it off somewhere, but is not terribly likely. So he is the warlord of the army, And as his warlord trait, he has the best armour that teeth can buy, giving him a 4-up invulnerable save. On top of his already 2+ save for his mega armour, so super survivey there. He's also got a... Ooh, come on, Gimbal. He's got a custom mega blaster and a power claw. But the power claw is a shiny gubbins. He has replaced it with... Oh no, he's picked up the wrong one. He thought about picking up the big nasty power claw, but he's only actually put the actual power claw on. Instead, cough. His super shiny gubbins is a super cyborg body, which gives him a 5+ shrug against any wounds, making him even more super survivable. He's also had a command point spent on him, because he is the killiest boss. Yeah. Giving him an extra wound, an extra attack, and his weapon skill going to 2+. Yeah, super killy. So he's got extra wounds, extra save, invulnerable save, and he shrugs off damage. And that costs a command point. And what's probably going to happen is some pointy-eared git is going to blow his brains up from range. Yeah, moving on. So, we also have the weird boy. He's the lad that has had divisions of the pointy ears. So he's the reason why he's coming this way. We dragged him with us so we can go left a bit, right a bit. Yeah, right here, boss. There they are. Right. Now, you stay there and do some green stuff. All right, boss. So, his power is... I've taken one from the Saga of the Beast Psychic Awakening book. Now, I'm not sure about this one. It's called Gleaming Gear. All Orc psychic powers are real raw energy, just bursting out of the psychic. Because every Orc generates a psychic field, and the weird boys kind of absorb it and have to let it out. That's why they often explode, and why they get bonuses when they're next to lots of Orcs. But this spell is called Gleaming Gear, which is one that you cast on a unit within sort of 18-inch range, and they get a +1 to save. Now, I really wasn't sure about this. That does not sound Orc-wiry at all. But the description with it was this is basically the power leaching out of him over a constant period rather than being let out in waves, and it amplifies the Orc psychic field that makes their weapons work. So it's a stretch. I'm giving it a go. I'm going to taste it, see how I feel, see how it goes down, see what, how I feel about it after the battle. He also has Smite, aka Power Vomit, which is just, he's just going to vomit green power everywhere. Of course, there's a massive cadre of Eldar Psykers who will pretty much stop everything he can possibly do. But, I don't build my lists to counteract the other lists. This is a story. It's a story with dice. Okay, so accompanying these guys, we have his lads, the Mega Armored Knobs, who have custom rocket shooters and power claws. Then we got the Hard Boys, who spent all their teeth and 2 command points on having a 5-up save rather than a 6-up save. So the plan is the weird boy goes with them and increases their save to 4-up. And if the Eldar blow up the Dread, who's going to be nearby, they're going to loot it and get their save to 3-up. No idea if that's going to work, but that's the sort of vague plan. And I feel quite heretical, Orc-wise, because it's only the Blood Axes who start the battle with a plan. They tend to only come up with a plan after the battle's underway. Anyway, so what else we got? There's lots of boys there. 1, 2, many, lots. There's lots of boys there. Daisy's got shooters and rockets instead. Daisy's probably going to go in one of these trucks. Yeah, get there faster. There's lots of burner boys that is also going to go in a truck. Then we have the battle wagon. Now, we've done a custom job on this one. Spent a command point and made it a fortress, which gives it a 5-up invulnerable save and a 3+ regular save. try and keep it alive against all that Eldar boomy gun deathness. It's got an hard case, which makes it toughness 8, which is going to be the ride for the mech and his lads. His lots of lads. There's the same number of every type of unit. There's lots of them. There's lots of mega armor knobs. There's lots of our boys. There's lots of shooter boys. There's lots of burner boys. There's lots of mech guns. There's one mech gun with a bubble chucker with some grots that are basically wound markers. There's one gun with a super mega cannon, which is basically kind of self-destructing blaster cannon thing. I'll go through the stats if we need them. And one smasher gun, which is kind of like a teleport, like a tractor beam that picks the thing up, lifts it up high, then smashes it against the planet. I don't know how well the gimbal cope with that. Then a bunch of grots. There's lots of them. There's 2 trucks. I already covered that. 2 trucks, yeah. That one's got a wrecking ball. I forgot it had a wrecking ball. Well, it's got a wrecking ball. And then a burner bomber, which has burning rockets, shooting guns, a grot with big shooters, and a couple of massive bombs that make fire when they get dropped. And I think I've spent another command point. Yeah, there was the custom job making that a fortress cost another command point. So down to 8 before the battle even starts. Down to lots. I've spent lots, but it's alright. I still got lots left. Now, God, I can't help taking on an orc persona when I do orcs. It's funny, I don't play orcs that often. I've only played this army about 5 times, maybe 6. This is the 6th, I think. But yes, it really takes over. So, the secondary objectives for the orcs. Try to keep them orky, as one might expect. Thin their ranks. This is one where you get points at the end of the game for just killing the enemy. Hooray! Big models, I think it's a point for every 10 you kill, or a big model gives you a point. So we'll do that at the end. Slay the Warlord. Right, what the orcs want to do is find the one who's got the biggest hat, because the enemy with the biggest hat is often in charge. They want to find him, kill him, take his hat, put out a pole. So that's that. And Line Breaker. They want to get as close as they can to the enemy to mess them up as quick as they can, because they've only just arrived and they want to beat them up dead quick. So points for getting 2 units in the enemy deployment zone. And I think that's it. So I'm going to roll some dice to work out who's deploying where, and then start deploying units. See you on the other side. Okay, so we are deployed. So let me talk you through the deployment and my subsequent dilemma as the Eldar player. So, we did the usual I drop. So what the Eldar have tried to do is try to keep as many of their units out of line of sight as possible. Whereas the Orks have just gone... Well, I started to think, where do I want to put these trucks? And then I told them, ooh, gimbal trouble. Then I started to tell myself off for actually thinking. So all the trucks are just coming down this central alley. The war boss has told the grots to go there and get that. The burner bomber is going to fly over and burn and bomb things. The wereboy is with DR boys and a death dread to run forward and... Oh, what's it doing now? Gimbal trouble. To run forward and see what's over here and then clobber them pointy-eared dandelion eaters. The mech guns have because the Grots have got a modicum of common sense, they've dragged them into positions where they've got decent lines of fire down that gap, onto that objective, down here, into the Eldar deployment zone, and then over here, into over these objectives. And that's pretty much as far as the Ork thinking went. Now the Eldar, I might have to give up on this gimbal. One minute. Alright, we're going to gimbal it another go. Okay, so the Eldar have tried to keep their things relatively hidden, not knowing where the Orks are going to appear. These War Walkers came over here because of these lines of fire, and ability to have line of fire down here as well. Now, the Eldar have been deploying in the knowledge that they have the Phantasm stratagem, that means they can redeploy 3 units at the end. And I'm toying with whether or not to do that. The Wraith Guard are here in this forest, so it's going to be -1 to shoot at them. The Orks over here, so they're relatively safe. That's where all the Ork heavy armour is, so they're going to come down here and get shot a lot with the fighty Warlocks and the fighty Farseer here as a counterpunch. And when the Grots lined up over here, the Storm Guardians, the dilemma with the Storm Guardians is whether to put all the Storm Guardians and the Warlocks over here and up against those Orks. Because with the buffs and the debuffs and all the Guardian attacks and the Warlock attacks, that is what they are there for. That is what they are meant for, to take out hordes. But that said, these guys over here are a softer target, protected from lines of fire, depending on how the battle goes, and there is an objective to take over here. And we have got Eldari with guns in the Wave Serpent and in the Webway, ready to come out and give these guys some serious grief. So, the only thing I actually think I want to reposition are these War Walkers, because I'd rather put them here where I can get decent fire onto those trucks. Don't think I'm going to do it though, because it's 2 command points. So I think, without further ado, we roll to see who goes first. I roll the Orks first, and then the Eldar to beat it. Orks get a 5. Eldar a 6. Quickly, they're here. Strike. Okay, so a number of dilemmas were had. And I've just remembered I haven't rolled something that's meant to happen at the start of the turn, which I'll do in a sec. So, these guys... So, I need to be on objectives. The Vipers were on this objective here. But in order to shoot at choice targets, I've moved them up here because there's a plane over there and we want to try and shoot that down. We have a stratagem to do mortal wounds to a plane with a Starshot missile. So the plan is missiles into that plane and big guns down here into these Orks. Now I'm acutely conscious there's going to be return fire. But having done that, that's left a gap on that objective. So we've moved this Wave Serpent forward to hold it for this turn. The Wave Serpent is going to need to move somewhere else later to deliver its payload. But I'm keeping it in reserve for now. These guys, we need first strike. So I want to take out that Dreadnought. Now the Eldar guy doesn't know that those Orks are going to loot from it, but it needs taking out. But next turn I want to be able to hop onto that objective and put fire down here. So they've moved out of the cover, but still, I did bring them over here, then realised I couldn't see the Dreadnought. So they're back over here, they can see that Dreadnought, and then later on they're going to be able to move on to that objective. So we still have that at the start of the turn. Over here, the advance of the Storm Guardians has just got them onto that objective. We're very lucky because I forgot that there was a stratagem I could use to move advance 6. So they are on that objective as it stands for the start of next turn. The Warlocks have moved up a little bit because they're not quite sure what to do, because the Farseer with Falchu's Wing has jumped all the way up here. He got a good advance roll. Now the dilemma here is obviously he's now on that objective for start of next turn, but the Orks can start climbing up here. And okay, they might not get to him in one turn, and he can jump back down again. However, that plane can see him. And depending on where that plane goes, he is a target. I also thought, well, if I put him a little bit further forward, because I had the move to, I could start getting some mortal wounds down into some of these units. But he'd just die to return fire. So he's taking a risk and sneaking up there to be on that objective next turn, and he's probably going to have to move pretty sharpish after that. So in theory, Eldar will head on. I'm lined up for 3 objectives at the start of my next command phase. All that's left to do now on that is my psychic phase, and then start shooting. The only psychic... So these guys haven't moved. Not in range of any Orks for Doom, because that's 24 range. The only thing I have got that I can cast realistically, because he has no line of sight on anything, is this guy's got Battle Fortune. So I have the option of giving them a 5-up shrug, or giving them a 5-up shrug. Of course, the whole army has a 6-up shrug, and as stated in my house rules, they will stack. I think I'm going to give it to him, because I like the idea of him dying much less. So on a 7+, I cast Battle Fortune on him. Passes on an 8. The weird boy is out of range to deny, so that is cast. Right, shooting. These guys advanced, but they have pistols, so they can't fire, and they're out of range anyway. No gun over here. These guys are out of range. There's not going to be a lot of shooting, is there? I've got a twin star cannon with this wave serpent, and I did measure the range. It is in range of that truck, so we're going to put the heavy 4 star cannon into that truck. Just need to get some dice. I could probably do with a fistful. Okay, so heavy star cannon. Double twin star cannon is heavy 4. No minuses for moving, so it's straight hitting on 3 ups. Hits 4 times. Strength 6, toughness 6 or 7. Let's see if I roll any 4s. Yeah, there's some 4s. I gotta go check. Okay, so the truck is toughness 6, so these 3 all wound. -3 save, which means its 4+ save disappears. D3 damage each for 1, 2, and 3 damage respectively. Right, ramshackle. On the roll of it's a 6 or a 1, still the same odds. I'll say 6. On the roll of a 6, that reduces that D3 down to 1, and that 2 down to 1. No, okay. I'll check which it actually is for next time. So that's 6 wounds on that truck. I wish I had something to keep going with, but we'll come back to that. Okay, so now we've got the 3... the 3 war walkers with twin star cannons into that dreadnought. After rolling to wound, it's -3. That is 4 wounds, saves of 6 up, which I make none of. These are D3 damage for 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think they've got 8. They do indeed have 8 wounds, so that is destroyed. It blows up on a 6. Doesn't blow up. Although these guys are going to spend 1 command point to loot it. So they're going to rip bits of metal off it and strap them to themselves. And they now have a 4+ save. Although that is first strike. Mission accomplished for the Eldari. Okay, so the Vipers fired the shuriken cannons down into those Orks, killing one. One regular missile is fired at the flyer and missed. The other one is command point for a Starhawk missile, gets +1 to hit. So it's +1, but -1 for the flyer, being a flyer. So it's going to hit on a 3, and misses. And that... yes, and something I've remembered, and you had a nagging feeling. I forgot part of my Ork army. The Ork have a pain boy who's in the battle wagon with the rest of... with the Mega Armor knobs and the thingy guys. I'm glad I remembered it now. They've got a pain boy. So it's the end of the Orks movement phase, and the Orks have surged forward. At the start of the Orks' turn, the Farseer rolled the dice to see if he generated a command point, and he did. So that's an extra command point for the pointy-eared Dandelionesis. It's the Orks' turn, that's right. Okay, so decisions. I don't have to make a lot of decisions when I'm playing the Orks. There isn't an awful lot of dilemma, because they are really easy to work out how to play. All these vehicles have surged forward. None of them are advanced. They're going to start opening up and doing shooting. The plane wants to get these things out of the skies. I think the Grot gun is going to be a bit more wily and try and shoot at the Farseer on the way past. So the super shooter, Grot super shooter, will have a go at that. The Grots over here have been a little more hesitant. They've moved forward to try and get their guns into range, to try and kill a few of these before jumping on the objective. Because just running headlong at the enemy, I mean, there aren't any Orks watching nearby. No one knows what they're doing, so they're going to stand back and shoot for a bit. And then over here, these boys with the weird boy have surged forward, but got a terrible advanced roll, so only moved an extra inch. And these guns have stayed still and will shoot at whatever targets avail themselves. So, the only thing in Psychic phase is the shiny gubbins? No, glittering gubbins. I can't remember what it's called. The +1 to save casts on a 6, which casts +1 for there being 10 Orks, because now one's dead, there are only 19, so there aren't 10 Orks, aren't 20 Orks within range. Ork weird boys get an extra +1 to their roll for every 10 Orks that are within a certain distance of them as they feed off the wire energy, which can lead to their heads exploding. Uh-oh. But right, so they are now up to a 3-up save. Interesting. Interesting. So we're now on to some shooting. And for the shooting, I'm going to have to consult the book. Okay, I've de-gimbaled. The gimbal takes too long to turn on and off every time I need to put the phone down. So we're going to start with the burner bomber. He's going to unload everything he's got. And he's not dropping a bomb, obviously, because there's any Orks underneath him, into these Vipers. And the Grot gunner, who's got a little bit of nous about him, is going to shoot at the Farseer, who he can just about see. There he is. Okay, so I'm going to spend a command point on a stratagem called Long Uncontrolled Bursts, whereby they just keep the finger on the trigger and get rerolls. No, they get +1 to hit for every thing they fire this turn, which is super duper. So we have got the twin super shooters into the Vipers, the scorching missiles into the Vipers, which is a D6 weapon, and the twin big shooter into the Farseer. The twin big shooter is a Grot firing it, so its base to hit is 4 rather than 5. With the long control bursts means it's going to hit on a 3. So the Farseer has been wounded 4 times. Its rune armor will save on a 4+. Oh, okay. Anticlimax, rune armor. You saw the bullets coming and they sort of moved them out the way. Yeah, moved them out the way. That's cool. Right, shooting at the Vipers. D6 shots with the Scorching Missiles for 2. Hitting on 4s. 1 hit. Daka. I don't know if I dackered with the other one. Never mind. Okay, 1 hit. Scorching Missile is strength 5, -1 damage. No, nothing there. Toughness 5 for the Vipers. So just the twin super shooter with 6 shots. Hitting on 4s. That's 2 dackers. One of which converts. These are strength 6, toughness 5 for the Vipers, so we're going to wound on 3s. That's that many wounds, -1, so 5 4-up saves. 1 wound taken by the Vipers. That was anticlimactic, but it made a really big bang and there's lots of fire and explosions everywhere. Yeah! Okay, so the battle wagon's going to open up next. It's using more Dacker, because these guys is a bit hidden in this forest. It's a bit hard to hit. So more Dacker means they'll hit on a 5+, and they will trigger extra attacks on a 5+. I've just remembered I haven't been rerolling 1s, so I shall remember that. 2 of the guns, from the point of view of the end of the thingy, can see these Warlocks. So 1 big shooter and the Lobber are going to fire at the Warlocks, and all the other guns are going to fire at these gits who's just standing there in the middle of nowhere. We'll show him. Okay, so from the big shooter and the Lobber, which I've just reread, it can target units that are out of line of sight, so I should be using that later. I don't think they could really shell upwards at the moment because there's a walkway in the way to hit other things, but when he's out in the open, he'll be using that. Have scored 3 wounds on the Warlocks, Ruin Armour saving on a 4+. 1 fail, Ulthwe Shrug on a 6+. Ha! No damage, you saw it coming. Okay, so we have the kill cannon and 3 big shooters into the Wraithguard. The kill cannon is a heavy D6 blast weapon. There are 5 targets, so the minimum is 3. So hitting on 5s, re-rolling and exploding. Re-rolling 1s, I should say, and exploding on 5s. So that's 3 hits. These are strength 8 bad boys. They will wound on 3s. 1 wound, disappointing. A couple of dud shells. So that's a wound. I haven't looked at what the minus is, so just hum some lift music to yourself. Kill cannon, -2, 2 damage. Okay, so saving on a 5-up. Saves! This is a remarkably unimpressive turn from the Orks, but it's really loud though. And, you know, we'll get to hit him in a minute, which is what counts. Then a lot of big shooters. Oh my word, it gets worse. A lot of big shooters. In many ways, I should film this off camera. 3 dackers. No. Big shooters wounding on 5s. Ooh, 2 wounds, saving on 3s. Ooh, a wound. Does he shrug it on a 6? He, my word, shrugs it on a 6. So, nothing doing there. 2 more big shooters from those trucks. May as well do those whilst I'm here. Hitting on far. No, these haven't more dackered, and it is dense terrain, so these are going to hit on 6s. However, the 1s will re-roll, which is good, and the 6s do explode. So 2 hits, strength 5, winning on 5s. Nothing. Right, let's see what these mech guns can see. Okay, so the Bubble Chucker can see the Wraithguard. The Custom Mega Blaster can't see anything because there's a battle wagon parked in its way and a building in its way here. And the Smasher Gun can see the Walker. Oh, can the thingy see the Viper? No, it can't. I could see a Viper. Could I take out a Viper? No, I'm going to kill a War Walker. Okay, let's fire these. Okay, so the Smasher Cannon is heavy D3 for 1. We'll hit on a 4-up because it's a grot, not an orc. Also, an anticlimax. Right, the Bubble Chucker's going to pop some of these things into the warp. Okay, so the Bubble Chucker is a super random gun. All its stats are random. So, we roll those now. It's got heavy D6 shots for 4. I could probably check if it's a blast weapon. I'll check that in a bit, but it's got 4 for now. Strength of 3, which isn't great. Damage, AP of -5. Woohoo! And 1 damage. Oh, that's not great. Okay, so I'm going to leave those dice there so I can remember what they were. Alright, it's heavy force. So it's going to hit on... Right, it would be 4s because of grot, but woodland, so hit on 5s. And that is 2 Dakas, which grots do get. Okay, so now the tricky bit, because it's only strength 3, these are toughness 6, it's only going to wound on 6s. 1 wound that punches straight through the armour save, but only does 1 damage. So 1 which it shrugs on a 6+, which it doesn't shrug. First time it has failed to shrug. Okay, so that's 1 guy's taken 1 wound. Right, so far then, we've taken a wound off a Wraith Guard, a wound off a Viper. Oh, dear God, don't tell me that's it. Right, let's see if the Grots can outdo the rest of the army and kill some of these guys. Okay, so the Grots may make up for the rest of the army. With Daka and so on, we have 5 saves to take on the Storm Guardians. Saving on 5s. 3 fails, shrugging on 6s, because we saw it coming. No, 3 die. 3 die. I've only taken 2 away, because one of them's arm fell off anyway earlier, so it's going over there. So 3 die. So they will need a morale test at the end of the turn. And that is the end of the turn. There are no charges. No one is in charge range. I guess maybe the Grots are in charge range. That'd be about it. I'll measure up in a second. Let's see if they get in. No Overwatch. Charge! No. Do they get in? We go? Doesn't matter. Okay, so that's the end of Ork Turn One. Let's see how the morale is. They lost 3. 3 and 1. They are fine. So, at the end of Battle Round 1, the Eldar destroyed an Ork unit for no units in return, so gets attrition. First strike they got for 5 points. I have a funny feeling that they get extra points if 3 additional points if more enemy units than friendly units. Yeah, so that's 8 points for first strike, 4 points for attrition. So that's 12 points by the Eldar in turn 1. Wow. Okay. Start of battle round 2 coming right up. And at the start of battle round 2, the Eldar Turn Two, they are on 1, 2, 3 objectives. And for this mission, you get having 2 objectives gets you 5 points, 3 objectives, another 5 points, and more than your opponent, another 5 points. So that is 15 points. The Eldar are now winning 27-0. That's... I wonder how the Orks are going to pull that back. I tend to find in games of 9th edition, big leads early on mean for... Right, no, this can be done. We will crump them. Yeah. Oh no, it's the Eldar turn. Right, okay. So it's the end of the Ulthwe movement phase on turn 2, and the trap has been sprung. Now, the concern here is, have we gone too early? And that was the nature of the dilemma, because we really need to crack those open to get at what's inside, and we need to be able to shoot the contents, charge the contents, sing the contents. But they're quite a way back. But if I gave them another turn, the battle wagon would be up here, then it'd be hitting things with ramming speed and going over with a button with that massive roller, and then we'd be getting charged by the Orks. So it's a gamble because they're quite a way back and some of the lines of fire aren't great, so we are going to get hit with a counter punch. So that is the risk. But let me talk you through what I've done. So these guys have just moved up. They've got a couple of flamers. They're going to crisp up those grots, shoot them up, and then maybe charge them. Probably not to stay on the objective. The Rangers have appeared unbidden. on objective 5, but they aren't particularly well hidden. They will take shots, and some of these orcs may climb up here in a minute. The Farseer, the fighty Farseer with Falchu's wing, is flying high in the sky and intends to take this bomber out. So there's going to be lots of psychics coming into the bomber, and then if it's still alive in the charge phase, the Farseer will charge it. The Farseer has the fly keyword, and he will stab it with his singing spear. Oh yes, he will. He is quite a bit exposed to some return fire from other things. We'll see. The Vipers have continued a slow move forward to continue putting fire into this thing. I don't like the idea of fast skimmers staying still, so I like to keep them moving whilst they're firing. So down here, the Wraithguard have advanced to get into that position because of the -2 move from the difficult ground. Their Wraith guns are now all in range of the vehicle, of the battle wagon, which is tough to say. It's a bit of a tough nut to crack, that one. The Guardians have disgorged themselves from this, from the Wave Serpent and move forward. We need to crack some of these vehicles open and shoot the contents a lot. The War Walkers have come around here to sit on the objective and put more fire down to destroy these vehicles. And then the Warlocks are going to buff themselves up and then charge whatever comes out. Might be a bit foolhardy, but they're pretty tasty in combat. They just don't have any AP minuses on their guns. So the ideal scenario is Wraith Cannons blow that open, these guys shoot the Mega Knobs, and then these guys have just got the trucks to deal with, and the contents of the trucks, because they're not good on things that have got lots of saves. But knowing these orcs will probably loot those trucks. They'll loot the trucks. Dear. Okay, so that is what I was thinking. It's a risk. I will definitely be hit with a counterpunch. Of that, I have no doubt. If that bomber survives, it's probably going to fly over here and drop a massive bomb on these guys. But we shall see. So, over here, the Black Guardians from the Webway have sprung their trap. Coming out on top of this objective, they're going to lay down fire into these boys, as have the Guardians on the jet bikes. I don't know if it'll be enough because they have a 3+ save. There's a bunch of stratagems I can throw into the mix. The lines of sight on this board are saving me quite a bit from return fire all over the place, which is kind of playing into the Eldar's advantage, because this particular Eldar army is quite gun heavy. I always maintain Eldar are not a shooting army, they're a combination army. But this army, because I haven't got any aspect warriors, I am not particularly punchy. So the lines of fire are helping me in some respects. So I now need to go and get all of these psychic powers sorted out. And then, we'll do the psychic phase. Okay, so this Farseer is the easy one. I'm going to cast Executioner on a 5. It does not cast on a 5, I don't believe. Use my runes of thingying to recast that. I think a 7 does it. I'm going to have to check. But if it does do it, it's taken a mortal wound. And then Smite. For a 7, D3 mortal wounds for 3. For a total of 4 wounds on the big flying thing. So 7 was indeed the casting value of Executioner, so that's fine. 4 wounds taken by the yellow plane. Okay, so command point spent here on Seer Council. That's a Farseer and a Warlock unit within 6 inches of each other. Both get +1 to psychic tests for this turn. So the Warlocks are going to cast Ghost Walk on a warp charge of 6, so I need a 5 to cast. That's cast on an 11, that's pretty close. So they are going to have +2 to charge in the charge phase. We're also going to cast... Oh, I've changed the page. No, I changed the page. It was all set. And then I had to look up how much the psychic powers were. Right, as you were. Okay, going to cast Enhance on themselves to give them +1 to hit in the fight phase. Casts on a... Come on, Paul, you should have looked at this before. And casts on a 7, so only 6 or more. If the Orks I was about to fight were down, I'd be debuffing them rather than buffing myself. But because they're in transport, can't do that. So 7 to cast with a +1. That is a fail. No additional cast there. Right, the Farseer is going to doom the battle wagon. Is doom a 5? Is a 6? No, requires a 7. Going to reroll both dice with my runes. Need this to go off. 9, 10. That goes off. Okay, good stuff. Then going to put Battle Fortune on the Warlocks to give them a 5-up shrug. 7 + 1, 8. Is 8 enough for Fortune? Yes, cast on a 7. Excellent. Then we're going to spend another command point for Unparalleled Mastery to cast another psychic power with that Farseer. And we're going to smite the battle wagon. On a 5 + 1, 6. That does go off. D3 mortal wounds for 2. Okay, let's go straight to the main event. No messing about. Because I want that battle wagon gone so I can start shooting what's inside. So 5 Wraith Guard with Wraith Cannons shooting at that battle wagon. 1 shot each, 12-inch range, Assault 1. So hitting on 3s. That's 2 misses. I don't think there was anything I could do to put anything re-rolly on those. So that's 3 hits. Strength 10, toughness 8, wounding on 3s with a re-roll because it's doomed. 3 wounds. Right. -4, which would be enough to get it through its 3+ save, but it has a 5+ invulnerable save because it is a fortress. Yeah. Okay, Orc player head on. Now, come on, fortress. It is made solid, good and Yeah! Oh dear. Yeah! Oh dear. Waaaagh! We're doomed. We're doomed. Ooh! 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 Okay. For a minute, I thought this might be a bit of a walkover for the Eldar. Now, not so much. So the Warwalkers with the twin star cannons have opened up into it. With rerolls to wound because of doom. I'm not quite sure about this doom. We have 5 saves. -3, so the 5-up save will apply. 5-up and vulnerable. Fails any. To be fair, the Orc would much rather it was round all that way around. But these were the guns that would have been shredding the mega knobs that were inside. So, ouchie. D3 damage each. D3 damage. 2, 4, 6, 7. 7 wounds. 1 wound from the Star Cannon on the Wave Serpent. 5-up invulnerable save. Failed. Another D3 wounds for 2. 5 more to get through. So the dilemma I now have... Other guns that I've got. Well, I've got a Bright Lance. That could do it. With the Doom, I might get some 6s to wound and punch through his armour and kill it with those. But if I do that, I have literally got nothing to take out the mega knobs with. And these trucks are still full. Yeah, there's an issue. So, in theory, if I fire the Vipers down, if I forego trying to kill the plane, because the Farseer won't kill it with the 8 wounds, if I forego trying to kill the plane and put the Vipers into it, I might just get it to blow. Because what I know, I can't be hit by that next turn. It does like 6 las cannon hits with its roller when it hits you. But then I could Overwatch against it. Depends who it's going to go against. The dilemma. Well, these guys could maybe take some shots at the plane. If they do uncannily super well, that might make that decision a bit easier. Maybe. Let's give that a go. You're Right, I'm getting desperate. Okay, one mortal wound done. A well-placed shot into the engine block, which now has smoke coming from it. Oh, I need to think. I say think. What's more of a threat, the battle wagon or the plane? We know the answer to that. Right, the Vipers are going into the battle wagon. Okay, not a good turn of hits. So we have a wound from a missile, a wound from a shuriken cannon that's rendered the armour, so that's -4, and a regular wound from the shuriken cannon. So 5 up save against the missile. Made. Okay. 5 up invulnerable save against this thing. No, 1 more wound against the shuriken cannon takes it down to 4, and then it's regular 3 up save against this one. Makes it. Right. I am going to have to check other lines of sight. So I started firing at it with the warlocks, not expecting very much, and the shuriken pistols have stripped 2 wounds off it, so it's only got 2 wounds left. You're right, I was getting desperate for guns. However, there is a singing spear, which is a 12-inch throwing weapon. Hits on a 3. 4. Pretty sure a singing spear wounds on a 2+. Now I need to check. Yep, and does D3 damage. So 3 up save, because it's AP dash. Fails. D3 damage. For 3! Gets it! Oh, for 3! Oh! Does it explode? It does not explode. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 models inside. Do any of them die? 1 casualty. Okay. Now, some people would say you put them out near the back so they don't get shot by all these things. But that is not very orky. Oh no, it isn't. We're going to crump 'em and crump 'em good. Okay, so spending a command point with this Guardian unit on Discipline of the Black Guardians to get +1 to hit shooting at the Mega Knobs. Bright Lance first, hitting on a 2. Hits. Wounding on a 2. I think Mega Knobs are toughness 4. I'm going to have to check that if I roll a 3. No, if I roll a 2. 3 or more, possibly a 2. That's a wound. Minus, I want to say 3. That's definitely a fail. D6 damage. Kills 1. Bright Lance. Cored through and through. I'm going to take that one off, make that charge longer. Okay, so Shuriken Fire. I have already rolled. With a +1 to hit, that's a lot of hits. 2 at AP -3, so saving on 5s. 2 wounds through there. And 8 regular saves, saving on 2s. Oh my word, another 2, so that's 4 wounds. I think they've got 3 wounds each. Let me check. 3 wounds each. So 1 is alive, remains alive on 2 wounds. 2 wounds. Okay, what else have we got to shoot? There's more. Okay, these Storm Guardians are gonna go for the grots. 13 grots, incinerated and sliced and diced with shuriken pistols. I don't think there's any need to charge. They can stop the objective. That's all good. Right, now we come over here. So, Farseer threw his singing spear at the plane, did nothing. This unit of Guardians, we invoked the Discipline of the Black Guardians for another command point, doing surprisingly less well. So we've got 1 that's AP -3, but they still get a save of a 6 because of all their crazy stuff. Fair, that's an Ork dead. And these are regular 3+ saves. 2. All of that, 2 dead. Right. It is time, I think, to fire and fade. Spend a command point, move 7 inches, having shot. Let's abandon that objective because we will be murdered next turn. So they're going to move 7 inches. Okay, so their move reduced by 2 inches on account of the terrain. So on the bad side, they didn't get as far away. Plus side, still in range of the objective. So, swings and roundabouts. Right, the bikes have opened up. And here are the saves. 2 have rendered, so a saves of 6+. No, so that is 2 more dead orcs. And these 8 are regular 3-up saves. With 3 being failed. God, these are our boys. So another 4 die. Okay, so it is charging time. Right, the warlocks are going into the meganobs and the mech. They have +2 to this because they cast Spirit Walk. 7, 8, 9. That gets them in. No Overwatch there. The Farseer is going to charge the plane. The plane will Overwatch. It's just basically going to spray bullets every which way but loose. We'll resolve that in a minute. Yeah, 4 in. Dink. Gonna put him on his base. Or I wonder, could I actually stand him on the... Yeah, hero shot. They're staying put. Once I've moved these, I think the Wraith Guard are going to charge at the Meganob. Yeah, so these will move. I may as well do the charge now. 7 inches. That looks... Oh no, they advanced. They advanced. They cannot do that. They advanced. Okay, so that is all the charges done. Because they're not going in, because those squats are inconsequential now. Right then. Okay, move some charges, do some Overwatch. Okay, no damage done on Overwatch there. Couple of wounds, but a whole bunch of armor saves. Okay, so, because I think the Orc might interrupt, I'm going to start with the Warlocks. So they have 2 attacks each. One of them has a Singing Spear, but in melee it has the same profile as a Witchblade. 2 attacks each. Spending a command point on Supreme Disdain. We are that disdainful of the Orcs, we will just slice them up at our own convenience. Which means 6s explode to hit. Now, unfortunately, because I didn't manage to boost myself earlier, I'm hitting on 3s. We are going to rely on our rune armour to keep us alive from the return fire. I should have... Oh, I totally forgot the house rule that lets me put the... charge of one. In fact, yeah, this is just, I'm going to do it. This is a Seer Council. So they've all gone in together. They're operating as a unit. Didn't say it when I declared it, but as I said, common sense, they absolutely should be going in together, even though that puts the Warlord in harm's way, which I absolutely don't want to do. But the Warlocks are all going against the enemy Warlord. They want to cut the head off this snake. The Farseer can't reach the enemy Warlord, so we'll have to hit that Orc instead. But these will activate in different orders. So they're going to rely on their rune armour and the battle fortune that was cast on them earlier to survive all the return attacks. So without further ado, 10 attacks, hitting on 3s, 6s explode. Okay, so that's 3 misses. And 4 6s. Oh, extra dice. Hitting on 3s. Okay, that is everything hit. So that's 10 hits. That's pretty good. They wound on 2s. Because that's what Witchblades do. So that's 10 wounds. This is where they're great against things like knobs that have a 4+ save and lots of wounds. You just murder them. These guys once killed a Stomper for me in 4th Ed. Admittedly, it was a full unit of 10. But they killed a Stomper. Right, here's the difficult bit. The Orc has 2-up saves. Right, come on. The best armour money can buy, teeth can buy. Best armour. And he's got that super cyborg body, so he'll just shrug off the damage. Yeah, of course he will, of course he will. Yeah, of course he will. So 1 fail, D3 damage. For 2, that he shrugs on a 5+. No, so he does take 2 wounds. Oh, hashtag not enough. So the Ork electing to not interrupt and just, laugh. The Farseer has hit and wounded the Meganob once, saving on a 2. Yep. Okay. Right, let's work this out. So I think he can just hit him as normal in close combat. So he's going to hit him on a 2. So the Farseer hitting the plane on a 2. Both hit. Wounding the plane on a 2. Both wound. I think the plane has a 4-up save, I want to say. Which I think is made them both. Okay, so yeah, he's flying around it and jabbing it with his spear, but he's clanging off its tough metal hide. That is unfortunate. Although that is a fantastic hero pose. That's a fantastic hero. I'm going to have to take a picture of that and get that on Instagram. Right, the big mech is punching the Warlock's back. Because he is Dachilius boss, he has 4 attacks and hits on 2s. Oh, but it's a power claw, so -1, so it will be 3s. But that's 3 hits. He's definitely wounding on 2s. These are super squishy. Rune armor, 4+ save. Magic for the win. Right, the Knob. I think has 3 attacks. Oh, I'm going to have to check. Has 3 attacks. Is going to hit the Farseer on 4s with his power claw. No, he isn't. Right, okay. The Pain Boy. Yes, I should have looked at the Pain Boy stats whilst I was in the book. The Pain Boy probably has 3 attacks. Oh, no, I've got to check. Right, Pain Boy has 4 attacks with his power claw, hitting on 4s. 2 hits. Wounding on 2s. 2 wounds. 4+ invulnerable save, rune armor. 1 fail, D3 damage. For 1, which it shrugs on a 5. Because of battle fortune, and a 6 because he saw it coming. Okay, that is what we like to call no score draw. That is not at all what I was expecting. But yeah, it's what the Eldar were expecting. They trust their rune armor to keep them alive. So that fight will continue. Which means we are at the end of Eldari Turn 2. So these grots, They lost quite a few, so they failed their morale spectacularly because the morale is like 4 and they lost like 16. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1 runs, and then there's 6 left, and they will run on 1s or 2s. This is where the new morale is a little bit jarring because, yeah, okay, none of those guys have run off. I kind of expect them all to head for the hills, seeing as they've just been barbecued and diced, but nay matter. The Meganobs lost 3 this turn. 3 and 5 is 8, and his leadership is it 7? So the boss Meganob is obviously massively spooked because he has run off. He has soiled himself and run away. Where are you going, you git? The Ork, the thingy boss yells. Right, these guys, they lost 7 this turn. They can technically fail. 7 and 2 is 9. There's 12 in the unit. Mob rule, no worries. So, I need to work out the points at the end of the Eldar Turn 2, because some points have happened. I'll go and do that, then come back and tell you. So no more secondaries scored by the Eldar at the end of that turn, because they may get attrition. However, that will be scored at the end of the battle round, because they've taken out 2 units, the Meganobs and the battle wagon. But we'll see what the Orks can do in return. In their command phase, in turn 2, the Orks gain no points because they are not on enough objectives. The Eldari are running away with it unless the Orks can do something serious this turn. Okay, so here we are at the end of the Orks movement phase. And I have a lot of dilemmas to talk you through. But before the movement phase ends, he's got to drop his payload. Load. So what has happened? So these shooter boys... Oh, the shadow's quite dark now, isn't it? So these shooter boys have disembarked from their truck and moved around here. They're going to put lots of Daka into here. They bellowed at those grots to get further forward and shoot them. So they're more afraid of the orcs than they are of the pointy ears. So they've run forward. They've moved forward. There's going to be lots of shots in here. And then hopefully grots charging the survivors to get on that objective. The burner boys have got out of their truck and wandered past the melee. And they're going to burn something over here, then charge something. There's a bit of a dilemma about whether I can put some flames up into these guys. Basically, as they go past, they can fire upwards, is how I'm sort of imagining that. They can get these guys on the edge. I'm not sure about that. I need to think about that still. The truck is probably going to ram into this combat with his wrecking ball. No Winters. And over here, bit of a dilemma as well. These orcs want to just go and clobber these pointy ears, but the amount they've fallen back and the move and the charge distance will make it a 12-inch charge. Now, the boss who's through there has bellowed to them to get that stuff there. Get there and don't let no one through that gap. You hears me? So they're going through there. They're doing as they're told because they are scared of the boss. He is in charge. He's coming up with some kind of rudimentary battle plan. Well, it's not so much a plan. He's reacting to external stimuli. So he's ordered the bomber to light these guys up with fire. But the dilemma the bomber's got is that guy who just tried to stick him with a knife's over there, and they want to shoot at him. Who to trust? Who to obey? Don't know. Over here, the grots have started dragging their guns around to get better lines of sight. The lines of sight down here are pretty rubbish, although I think it just looks so cool. I am so pleased with the setup. I think it looks great. So some movement going on here. So there's some guns are going to put fire down and try and destroy various things. Oh, we might even bubble chuck those guys up there. That's something that could happen. Right, we'll get to that. And he's going to try and protect them with the aura thing, the armour thing. Of course, as I moved him, I realised this guy up here could, snipe him. But actually, now I come to think of it, the custom mega cannon could blow his head off. That might happen. Ooh. Anyway, so lots and lots and lots of possibilities. Anyway, so where we have ended up at the end of the movement phase is the burner bomber has flown over this unit of guardians and is dropping a burner bomb. He has 2 of these for the whole game. And long story short, they're going to take mortal wounds on 4 ups, 1 per model in the unit, up to a maximum of 10. So that is disappointing for dead guardians. Now I'm going to use a stratagem from the Saga of the Beast called Wildfire to pick another unit within 6 inches and do another roll. So we're going to pick these Wraithguard. The fire is going to spread across and they will suffer mortal wounds on a 5-up. There's 5 of them, 5 dice. I'm hoping for 2 to kill that one off. 1. But I've just remembered, of course, all the Craftworld Ulthwe get a shrug. I don't like this as a stat, to be quite honest. But so he doesn't shrug those. And these 4... They don't shrug those either. I don't like the idea that they're all seers who could all see things coming and get visions of the future. They're not trained to be seers. They're being something else. So I do not like that as a stat. I do not like it one little bit. So that's the end of the movement phase. I reckon they're probably going to flame them now. And we need the psychic phase. So the weird boy is going to cast the armor Buffy Doodah thing again. Well, that's good and bad news for him. That's cast on an 11. So that Farseer needs a 12 to dispel it. I can reroll any number of the dice. No. Okay, so that's cast. Those boys have got a 3-up save again. The bad news is that was a perils and he takes a mortal wound. So he's only got 3 wounds left. Right. Now, time to do some shooting whilst I put the pixies in the corpse pile. Okay, so I thought I'd do this off camera and summarise to save a bit of time. The Bubble Chucker. I've just rolled 6 shots, strength 6, minus 6 AP, and 3 damage. How I wish I was firing it at something other than these Guardians. They're not Guardians. They're something else. They're. Doesn't begin with a G. Rangers. Right. 6 shots, hitting on 4 because these are grots. 5s explode. 6s explode even. Alright, well that evens it out. They missed 5 times. Wounding on a 2. Okay, well that's Orks for you. So nothing happening then. Right. Custom Mega Cannon. Shooting at the Farseer. D6 shots. For 2. Hitting on 4. 6s explode. No, but I do a mortal wound to myself. I'll mark that up in a minute. Okay, wounding on a 2 because it's mega. Minus AP lots, but he has his 4-up invulnerable save. This could kill him. It's D6 damage. 4-up invulnerable save. Passed. He is charmed. Well, he kind of is. He's like made of magic. Okay, so that didn't go so well. Right, so the Smasher Gun will try and smash some of these into firewood. D3 shots. For 3. Hitting on 4s. 1 hit, 6s explode. Still 1 hit. So when you hit these things, with this gun, this is a very special gun that I had the page open for before. It's a very, very special gun. We're at lift music again now, guys, whilst I get the exact page. Basically, you roll 2d6 and you compare it to the model's toughness. And if it's greater than or equal to, then they've wounded. So, 2d6 against toughness 4. So that first one totally wounds. The second one also wounds. So it's AP minus 4. They've both got through. Each one does d6 damage. So that's 1... not dead. And that... Really? 2 damage? Off 2d6? Okay. Does he shrug them? No. I think they've got 2 wounds each. I'll have to double check. Okay, so these shooter boys have used more Daka to give a dirt nap to 6 of the pixies. And now, because Day's bad moons and Day's got all the teeth and all the gear, Day's going to show off and do it again for 2 Walking Man points. 7 more saves of 5 up. Oh, that's a lot better. Only failed 3. 6 up shrug. No, 3 more die. Okay, so those grots are going to put their guns into them as well. So 4 remain alive, and they will get charged, but they have got 2 flamers. So, not exactly sure what's going to happen there. Right, what's next? Okay, the Burner Boys are going to shoot those Guardians. So the Eldar guy declared, used the stratagem Celestial Shield. They deployed their Force Shield, giving them a 4+ invulnerable save. Which, okay, it's only really taking the 5-up save to a 6-up, because there's no minus from the AP of these. And then the Ork dude rolled 3. So there's 30 attacks automatically hit. In many ways, they'd have been much better on something else. But who cares? They're going to burn. Oh yeah, wounding on 3s. So Celestial Shield saved 9. So we have 6 6-up shrugs. None of which passed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 models left. That's the unit. And you know something? I think the burners are going to show off too, because I've just checked the wording. It's 30 hits till the end of the phase. So yeah, Let's burn some Promethium. Burn, baby. Oh, I can't pick all these up in one hand. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Right, that's 8 wounds, saving on 3s. Oh, only 2 fails, not nearly as impressive. And they shrug on 6s. No shrug. So that's at least 1 dead and 1 down to 2 wounds. We'll have to tune the nozzle down in a minute to make it more of a sort of arc welder and carve him into little tiny pieces. Yeah, we'll have to do that. Big shooters from the trucks will go into... It's not really a good target for the big shooters from the trucks. Warwalkers, I guess, because those guys are going to have those. So that's 6 shots against the Warwalkers. Hit on 5, 6s explode. Daka, 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 daka. So that's 2 hits. Wounding on 4s, I think. Yep, I will have to check the stats in a moment, but I think they wound. And I think that's 1 fail, which is shrugged on a 6. Now, 1 wound taken, I think. Now, I was wrong. The Warwalkers are toughness 6. So, the Bomber's dilemma. Do I do what I want to do, kill that, or do I do what the boss wants me to do, kill them? Well, it seems the fairest way is for no one to get what they want, so I'm going to shoot them instead. The big shooters and the twin shooters have pinged off lots of armour. We have 4 successful wounds with scorching missiles, however. We've really lit them up good. They could burn. -1, so saves of 4+. Every single one. I really don't know why I bother with you. I do, because it's cool. So, the charge phase. The Orks are bullying those grots to charge. And it is not... I've only got 3 command points left. It is not worth one of those command points to incinerate the grots, especially when I'm going to be hit with those straight afterwards. So, no Overwatch. The grots make it in. They're going to run round the back like the sneaky backstabbers they are. Then those boys are going to charge in on an 8. But here we go. Try and get a bit further. Still an 8. Okay. Then we'll move those in a minute. The burners are going to charge these guys. No Overwatch here either. For an 8. Yeah, 8's plenty. But you know what? And reroll it anyway because waaaagh. Oh no, there's no war boss. It's only here we go. 10. Right, any other charges? Yes, 2 trucks. There'll be space here once these guys have moved. I should have moved them already. So, 2 trucks in. Nearest truck, in. Next nearest truck, in. So, I'm sorry, they were charging at the Warlocks. And that is about the size of it. Yeah, it feels like depressingly little for those. But I mean, it's only a relatively small game. It's only 1750 points. But it doesn't feel like 1750 points. It feels like there should be more. Much more. Oh, there was a Dreadnought and a Battle Wagon and Mega Nubs. Yeah, okay, there was a lot more. Whereas the Eldar have lost only 1 in whole unit. Everything else has just been tickled. Yeah, and we've got... Yeah, well, it's not looking good for the Orks. It's not looking good at all. There's no objectives captured either. Really. Oof. And I technically only have an hour left to play the game because I'm supposed to be doing something at 8 o'clock. Which is a problem. It's a problem. Right. Let's do some move. Let's move some charges. And let's pound these pixies into the dirt. Yeah. So after moving all the charges, it looks like this. I already know as the Eldar player, I'm not going to interrupt anywhere, so I'm just going to... Oh, hang on. I can interrupt... I know, I was going to say I could interrupt with the Mega Knob to strike first, but I think that's why they've changed it round to the other guy strikes first, because then it just stops people doing the interrupt when it's not really an interrupt, if that makes any sense. So, right, let's start over here and build up. The Orks massacre the Storm Guardians with ease and consolidate near this building, which it looks like they're going to try and scale to get to the... Ooh, one's fallen over. To get to those... I keep wanting to call them Guardians. To get to those Rangers. Okay, so now we have the burners attacking the Wraithguard. Okay, so the burners have 2 attacks each. So hitting on 3s. Now the trickier bit, wounding on 5s. Well, that's not so bad. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are -2 because they're basically using them like cutting torches. So 5 saves are 5 up. No saves. Do they shrug them on 6s? No shrugs. One guy was on 2. They have 3 wounds each. So that's 2 guys dead. And they will consolidate, pile in. Okay, so one of the trucks doing 2 wounds to a warlock with the wrecking ball, but the battle fortune saved one of them. Okay, so the big mech is going to try and rip the app off that big elf who's obviously in charge because his at's biggest. He's going to go for the warlord, try and get some points. Okay, so with all his stuff, he's hitting on 3s with his power claw. 3 hits, strength more than 10, toughness a lot less than that, wounding on 2s. Okay, so 4 plus rune armor save. 1 gets through, d3 damage for 1, shrugs it on a 6. Now, so the warlord takes a single wound. And in return, the warlocks have scored 5 wounds. So he has on the war boss, the big mech. So he has 5 2-up saves to take, which he passes. So the Farseer is going to have a crack at that as well, hitting on 2s, wounded on 2s. The guy saves on 2s. Ooh, he fails 1. D3 wounds for 1, which his super cyborg body will shrug on a 5-up. Okay, another no score. They're going to be there a while. They're going to be there a while. Let's see if the Pain Boy can do anything. 4 attacks, hitting on 4s. Okay. Wounding on 2s, because it's big and clawy and powery and... Right, 3 more rune armor saves. Failed 2. Alright, the first one does d3 damage for 2, which they shrug on 5s because of battle fortune, and then 6s. So that's 1 wound. So that's actually a warlock down. We have a warlock down. Then we have another d3 damage for 3. 3 battle fortune saves of 5 plus. No. 6-up shrugs for being Ulthwe. No. Another warlock dies. Okay, so the Wraithguard attack back and do no damage. So that is the end of the fight phase. So morale. The Burner Boys didn't lose anyone. The Wraithguard can't fail because their leadership's 9. The Warlocks can fail. Their leadership is 8. They lost 2 guys. 5, 6, 7. But they are fine. No one else needs to take a leadership test. So that is the end of Battle Round 2. Now, did the Eldar score attrition? They did not, because they killed 2 units. The Meganobs and the Battle Wagon. But in return, the Orks have stopped them gaining those extra 4 points by killing 2 units of Guardians. The Orks haven't scored any points, however, because they're not line breaking and they have not slayed the Warlord. They will be building up some points for attrition, but it's small change at this point. As we go on to Eldar Turn 3. So in the command phase of Eldar Turn 3, the Eldar are on 3 objectives. 1, 2, 3, which is 10 points. It's not more than the Orcs, because the Orcs also control 3, but it is enough for 10 points, taking them into the lead 37-0. Featured word, nil. And the net begins to close around the remains of the Ork army in Eldar Turn 3. Did I say this was Turn 3? Or is it Turn... It's Turn 3. It's Turn 3. It's Turn 3. Oh, that was going to be all sort of really cool and narrative then, and then I forgot what turn it is. So they are definitely circling a wounded foe. The Wraith Guard did a desperate breakout as they were instructed by the Farseer, who's very nearby, to get clear so that they can be destroyed with star cannon fire. But unfortunately, they were carved up to tiny little pieces with fire cutters, with blowtorch things. But their spirit stones will be recovered and mounted into other units. They will fight again. Wave Serpents move around here to get some good lines of fire. The Warlocks have... how to describe this? So the plan here... So the Farseer has put himself in harm's way. He's flown down. And the plan is to execute these two leader beasts with psychic powers. With all the executioner and the mind war and the whatever it was I gave him. I think that was it. I have to double check. And kill those with psychic powers. One of the trucks would then be out of combat. The second one wouldn't because it's still in with the Warlocks, but that could then be shot at and destroyed. The Warlocks could then chop the other truck up in the close combat phase. These guys will be lit up by small arms fire. The Orks over here, okay, they are getting closer, but they're inconsequential at the minute. Those Rangers will just have to hold for now, but there'll be plenty of guns to come round and mop them up shortly. And over here, the net tightens. So, we have lots and lots and lots of shuriken fire coming into these Orks. And that witch, and then missile fire starting to come into these backfield guns. This could be quite decisive. So let's go on to the psychic phase without any further ado. So which order do I have to do them in? Oh, I need to look at the bit of paper. Oh, now you're getting some behind the scenes shots of my shelf. Oh, look, Imperial Guard. I gave him Executioner and Mind War and Smite. Okay, so we'll start with him. How many wounds does that Ork have left? He has 4. We will Smite on a 5+. For a Super Smite. But there's no point in the weird boy trying to deny that. So for D6 damage, this is overkill. For 3 wounds, which it will shrug on the 5 up because of its super cyborg body. No, it doesn't, giving it 1 wound left. I just realised I should have put some wounds back on it with the pain boy last turn. Let me look up how that should have happened. 1 minute. Okay, in my defence, I am juggling about 5 books and I haven't played either of these armies in a very, 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 very long time. So I should have been getting a shrug for the what's his name? He's got a name. The Pain Boy. So what I will do is I will do that now for all the wounds that the War Boss has left. I'll ignore the fact that we had the Mega Knobs there before. For all the wounds that the War Boss has got left, and I'll try and pick him up D3 wounds from last turn, because I think that's fair. Okay, so he'd previously lost 2 wounds. Did he shrug either of those? He did. So, right, let me get this back. Let's do this right. So, 4 there, he would have been on 5 at the start of the turn. The Sawbone would have tried to pick him back up on a 2, which would have succeeded and put D3 wounds back on him, putting him back up to 6. He's just lost 3 to Smite. Or was it 2? I'm going to have to check. Right, it was 3, it was 3, it was 3. So does he shrug any of those on a 6? No, he doesn't. So he is down to 3. Right, now the Farseer will cast Executioner on a 7. I'll cast on an 8. Well, the Weird Boy will try and deny that. Which he does. He successfully goes... and Brain stops it from happening. That's good. Okay, so the Farseer will try Mind War. Mind War casts on hopefully that, but even if it's not, I'll use Maroons to make it that. So it's a leadership off. The Farseer's leadership, I think, is 9 plus 5 is a lot. 14, that's it. And the Big Mech's leadership plus 4. The Big Mech leadership is 8 plus 4 is 12. So that's 2 mortal wounds. Which it will shrug on 5s. And again on 6s. Shrugs 1. Down to 2 mortal wounds. To add 2 wounds even. Okay, and that's all the psychicking from that Farseer. This might not be quite so clear cut. I've just realised I cast 3 psychic powers with him. Right, okay, that means I must have paid the command point for Unparalleled Mastery. So I'll go and do that in a minute. Oh, idiot. Right, so the next Farseer will try and smite him to death. On a 9. The guy can't... the Warped, he's not a Warped, the Weird Boy can't do anything about that. D3. For 3. Shrugs on a 5 up. He shrugs 2 of them, then again on a 6. He shrugs them all. He still has 2 wounds left after all of the psychicking. Wow. In which case, the last power for that Farseer will be to put Battle Fortune on the Warlocks, which he succeeds in doing. The Warlocks, they don't have Smite. They swapped their Smite in for Ghost Walk, which they don't need at the moment. So they can cast 2 psychic powers. They will... Oh no, they're down to 3 models. They can only cast 1 psychic power. They will, I think it's Innovate themselves? Empower? Empower. The one that gives them +1 to hit. Which casts. So they're hitting on 2s now. Okay. So that's the psychic phase. Now we're on to shooting. So the Wave Serpent put his twin shuriken catapults into the burner boys and star cannons into that truck. Took a wound off the truck. A couple of burner boys died. The War Walkers just unloaded into the burner boys, leaving 1 remaining, and the last one has just been sniped by not a Guardian. That's now what they're called. So, pistols fired into combat here against the Big Mech. And did some damage, but the Pain Boy patched it up. So, coming over here. Right, first the Guardians into the boys. 6 dead from this unit of Black Guardians. Then the 4 bikes. Only killing 1 more. The first lot, they rolled loads of 6s to wound, so rendered through the armour. None on this lot, and only killed 1. This is what it's like shooting Space Marines. So, as the Vipers fly down, they're going to fire, should have done this in a different order, fire their plasma missiles into the unit of Orks, and stitch the Weird Boy with shuriken cannons. An abysmal round of shooting from the Vipers. Failed to kill any more Orks, but put 1 wound on the Weird Boy. I think that might be all the shooting done. And the question is, do I think I can kill them in combat? With Guardians on bikes, and Vipers? No, I don't. But they're still alive. They're still there. That's a problem. That is definitely a problem. Yep. So, charge phase, this Farseer jumps into the fray and will strike first with his 2 attacks. Hitting on 2s. Wounded on 2s. But also saving on 2s. Ooh, for D3 damage. For 1 damage, which he will shrug on a 5. And the Pain Boy will patch up on a 6. No damage there. So it's now the Orks' turn to pick 1. Because that's the only charge. So the War Boss, he's not a War Boss, he's a very mechy boy. 4 attacks, he's going to try and get the hat off that boss. Hitting on 3s. Wounding on 2s, very much wounding on 2s. 4 plus rune armor save. Fails twice. 2d3 for 5 wounds. Okay, which he will shrug on 6s. Needs to make 2 of these. Which he does not. 4 wounds. The Farseer falls. That is Slay the Warlord. Right, now it's an Eldar unit. And I think it's fair to say the Warlocks are unhappy. So the 3 remaining Warlocks are going to go into the War Boss. They're hitting on 2s now because of the psychic power they put up before. Also wounding on 2s. He is saving on 2s. 2 1s. 2d3 damage for 2. Which he shrugs on 5s. And the Pain Boy patches up on 6s. Takes 1 more wound. He's got 1 wound remaining. And then the Pain Boy is going to smack those Warlocks. Hitting on 4s. Wounding on a 2. Rune Armour fails for d3 damage. 3. Shrugging on 5s. Then on 6s. 1 wound. Okay, so it has just got a little bit more interesting. There is, I mean, at the end of the Eldar turn, the Orks have got some points. They've got some points on the board for Slay the Warlord. Woohoo! It really can't be an Ork victory at this point with the points because they mathematically can't come back enough. But they can play for Orky pride. That's right. That they can. They can at that. Their Orks is never beaten. So, you know, there's definitely going to be continual violence. Yes, continual violence. Oh, one of the trucks is still in. The one on 3 wounds. D3 attacks from the truck. Doesn't hit. Don't know why I bothered filming that. So there is some morale to consider at the end of the Eldar term. They lost 8. 8 plus 1 is 9. Their leadership is less than that. They haven't got a big mob, so they will fail. One of them runs, and then there's 4 left, and they will run on 1s and 2s. 2 run. Okay, if I had 3 command points to bring in a big a green tide, that would be super. But I don't. Okay, let's see what the Orks can do. Try and salvage some respect. So at the start of the Orks' turn, they are on 16 points, so they're only 21 behind. They got 10 points because they hold 1, 2, 3 objectives, which is, however, the same number as their opponent. So what have they done? These guys got a great advance roll and have got up the side of the building. I've allowed a bit of latitude with the fact that this is so tall, otherwise it's terrain we would never be able to use if models couldn't climb up it. And with the placement, it just makes sense to me. So they've advanced, they're up there. They're all stuck in the middle. Haven't been able to use any of the cool kit on that guy for shooting because he's been locked up all game. It's just been a... everyone refuses to die in the middle there. Okay, so over here, the weird boy is holding the objective. Ha! I don't fancy his chances. But then again, if the Orks can exterminate everything here, you never know. These Orks are going to run over here and bash their heads in. There's that. The burner managed to stay on the table, so he's going to put fire down into these pixies, as was requested earlier. And all these mech guns are going to shoot these things really quite a lot. So there's a slim town from Slimsville, Slimania chance that the Orks can pull something back. Let's see what they can do. Right, psychic phase. None of this gleaming whatever. He's not going to let it seep out of him. He's going to open his gob and vomit out as much power as he possibly can and smite. I really wanted to hit them with the smite, but it's actually going to hit them. So, smite on a 5 up. Cast on a 6. One of the Farseers will try and stop it on a 6, but he can re-roll the dice. Stops it on a 7. I mean, what is the point of you? I knew you wouldn't get used. But you were here because you knew where the elves were. That's the only reason why we're here, otherwise we wouldn't be playing the game. Okay, so shooting phase. We've got some sluggers into these guys. In fact, you know what? I'll summarise. Okay, so I decided to move over here to start. I was going to summarise, but there's only 6 of them can shoot, because that thing's actually quite big and blocks line of sight. But that's a lot of hits! And there's a Daka, which also hits! Wounding on 3s. So that's a bunch of wounds. Now, their cloaks give them +1 cover if they're in cover. However, these 2, I'm going to say, aren't in cover. So I'm going to take them on those first. So these are going to be 5-up saves. 1 pass, 1 fail. Does this one get shrugged? It doesn't. So this one at the back here dies. Well, the one at the front. Now do is 1 at a time. Fails. Shrug. Yes, shrugged. Passed. 5 up again. Passed. Alright, here's where it's balanced out, isn't it? Passed. Alright, hang on, let me put him back. I assumed the other guy was going to die. There we go. So see, 1 of them dead. Dear. Okay. Okay, right. Over to the other side of the table. Okay, not very successful here either, as the Eldar have gone into the dense terrain. Nearest one here, killed by a slugger, and then this one shot out by a plane. But to be honest, the bigger threat are those 3 orcs. Hopefully we'll be able to get them on Overwatch. Okay, so the smasher gun, firing at the Vipers. Hit once with a Daka, 2 hits. They both wounded, successfully rolled, there's the last one I rolled, successfully rolling over the toughness of 5 on 2d6. So, need to do them 1 at a time because they're d6 damage. -4 AP, straight through. He's basically picked it up and smacking it against the ground. D6 damage. For 4, so it isn't going to kill it, but it will shrug them on 6s. So he shrugs 2 of them. 3. So the next one gets through the armour. D6 damage for 1, which will shrug on a 6. There we go. Why did we come? Okay. So the custom Mega Blaster will also fire at the Vipers with 4 shots. Come on. Blowing on the dice for luck. It's coming. I can feel it this time. 3 hits. No Dakas. I'll take that. Strength a lot. Wounding on 3s. That's all wounded. The value... look at the Vipers for a moment. Custom Mega -3. So it will save on 6s. I think Vipers have a 3-up save. Need to check that now. Vipers have a 3-up save. So 1 of them saves. Does D6 damage. For 5. Does it shrug enough? No. That one dies. Do they explode? Do Vipers... They do explode. No, it doesn't. Okay. So the next one takes D6 damage. For 5. How many do they start with? They start with 6. And he shrugs 1 of them. So that has 2 wounds left. 2 wounds left on that Viper, and this one died. Ooh, can I find another gun from somewhere? There is a bubble chucker. How many bubbles can a bubble chuck if a bubble chucker could chuck bubbles? Now the question is, moving the dead one aside for a minute, do I roll the stats and then decide what to shoot it at, or the other way round? 1 minute. Doesn't say. I think I've determine them, then choose what I'm firing at. Does that sound right? Probably doesn't sound right. Either way, I was going to fire at the bikes, I think. Because I think I want more chance of killing the bikes with the bubble chucker. But then again, no, if it had been a low number of attacks, I'd have shot at the thing. Okay. Because I've done it, I think, the wrong way round. 1 to 3, I'll shoot the Viper. 4 or more, I'll shoot the bikes. I'll shoot the Viper. Okay, so the Viper is hopefully totally jam-bred. With 6 attacks, 4 hits, strength of 5 against toughness of 5, so wounding on 4s, 2 wounds, only -1, but 6 damage, so 2 4-up saves. Viper's fine. Okay, Bubble Chucker, Custom Mega Blaster, Thingy, they've all fired. There's no pistols to do. I've done all the pistols. It must be the charge phase. So there's no charging over there because they advanced, sadly. There's no more charging in the middle. So there's just this charge over here. So these guys are definitely going to Overwatch with the last command point. Okay, no casualties to Overwatch. And they made the charge. But it's alright because this Guardian has the high ground. So he'll be fine against that Ork. It says here. Okay, so we'll be straight on to this combat. Right, so we've got 2 boys with sluggers and choppers. So there's 6 attacks for those guys. Yeah, in many ways, I should have had the dice ready. I'm still learning. I've not done many of these battle reports yet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, hitting on 3s. Well, that's not great. Wounding on 3s. That's even worse. Saving on a 5. Shrugging on a 6. So that kills 1. Then the boss knob. Hitting on 4s. Wounding on a 2. Wounds. Saving on a... Oh no, saving on nothing. 3 wounds. Shrugging on 6s. That's another one. That's only 2 dice. Okay. Whilst I'm here, I'm going to do these attacks back. Pile in. Okay. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Eldar. This will be pretty embarrassing for the Orks if the Eldar kill them. That's 4 hits. Wounding on 5s. It's the tricky bit. 2 wounds. Now, they've only got a 4-up save now because, yeah, only a 4-up save. So 1 died. Ah! So that's what's happened over here. Right, now to the Eldar... No, to the Orks turns. The Eldar guy is going to go first over here. Right, so I think the Farseer will go no, let's kill that pain boy. Okay, so the warlocks will go first. 2 of them are going to go against the pain boy. 1 against the boss. I now need to go and check the stats of the pain boy. Yep, I totally should have murdered the pain boy earlier. 4 attacks on the pain boy, hitting on 2s, wounding on 2s, saving on 6s. No saves. D3 damage each. 3, 4, 5, 6. Which he will shrug on 6s, but he has 4 wounds. Shrugs 1 of them. Pain boy dies. Unfortunately for the Orks, that's more points for the Eldar. Oh, yikes. Now the 2 warlocks who are fighting the boss have hit twice. Wounded once. Saves on a 2-up. Saves. Okay, now it's the boss's turn. He is going to... Yeah, the other one that had the nasty lightning from his eyes. Yeah, let's get that one. Hit on... That hits. 3s, because it's 2 because of his thingy, and -1 because of the claw he's using. Yeah, okay, so they've all hit. Wounding on 2s. Rune armor saves of 4+. Ooh, yikesy! For 3 wounds, which he will shrug on 6s. Takes 3 wounds, is on 2 left himself. I need another wound dice. He is on 2. Now it's his turn to try and clobber the war boss. Hit on 2s. Wounded on 2s. Saving on 2s. And it continues again. Oh, the trucks. The trucks. The 1 truck. Let's not forget the 1 truck with the D3 attacks that misses. So, that is the end of Ork Turn 3. And I'll be quite honest with you, I simply refuse to stop playing until we know how that turns out in the middle. So, did the Orks get any points there? Let me go and work that out. No extra points for that, because the Warlord's already dead. The not line breaking and attrition happens at the end. So, morale. There's none in the centre because the Pain Boy's dead and he's a unit of 1. Only 1 died up here, they can't fail. Neither side can fail up here. Oh, actually, the Guardians can fail if they roll a 6. They don't roll a 6. Okay, so that's the end of... Oh no, the Eldar get some more points. That's what happened. They get another 3 points. So they went up to... They went up to 40. And I need to work out who killed most units. Yes. Hang on. 1 minute. So, I think the Eldar killed the Pain Boy and the Burner Boys. And I don't think the Orc killed an entire unit. Apart from the Warlord. So I think that's 2-1. The Eldar get another 4 points for attrition. So, hang on, you can look at the table whilst I change the score on the board. So 40 becomes 44. I told you it was professional. 40 becomes 44. So the end of the scores at the end of turn 3 are 16-44. And I refuse to stop until we work out what happens with the remaining combats. So we go on to turn 4. Okay, so the end of the Eldar movement phase. These Rangers, I remember what they're called, have decided to cede this objective to these Orks and not die, and have rappelled down the side of this building. The Wave Serpent has come around here to shoot these grots off this objective. The War Walker's positioned a bit further forward so they can put some fire downfield into those heavy guns. Obviously everyone stayed in combat here for, reasons. These Dire Avengers Guardians have fallen back, and these bikes are going to light them up. They're sort of doing a sort of spinning round shooting thing. So 2 of them are going to put fire into that, 2 of them into those. See how that goes. Then the Viper has options as to where to put the fire depending on that. And is also, ideally, they're all dead, and fire will be put into here. That's the theory. So, walking back around the table, the main event. I say the main event. Okay, first things first. Can the remaining Farseer smite this beast to death with eldritch energy leaping from his hands? Okay, well, we'll keep that. That's a super smite on a 12. It is a perils, so we'll resolve the perils. The perils does 3 wounds. However, Farseers get, with their ghost helm, they get a save of 3+ against mortal wounds. So they ignore them on a 3+. So let's see if they get ignored. They all get ignored. The ghost helm absorbs the etheric energy, and the war boss suffers D6 for 1. For 1. He's only got 1 wound. Does his super cyborg body save him? No. Does the... Oh, the Pain Boy's dead. So that kills him. That does indeed slay him. Okay, so on to the shooting phase. The Wave Serpent obliterates these grots. Right, coming around here to these boys. 2 of the bikes into the boys, 2 of the bikes into the Weird Boy. So the 2 into the Weird Boy, hitting on 3s. That was a miss before I knocked it. Wounding on 4s. 2 Rens, 1 normal save. They punch straight through his armour save, and the Weird Boy is a casualty. The 8 shots into the boys. 2 miss. It's -1 because the woodland is dense. Wounding on 4s. So that's 1 wound at -3. That goes straight through and kills that last boy. And the next one, the knob saves on a 6, because with his 4+ save. Okay, so in which case, yeah, we're going to leave that, and the Viper is going to put fire into this guy as he goes past it, taking it out with a missile, and the shuriken shots wasted. So the Warwalkers putting all their fire... Or should we split fire? Let's split fire. 2 Warwalkers into the Bubble Chucker, 1 Warwalker into the custom Mega Cannon. I'll come back with the saves. He said, forgetting that the Star Cannons would punch straight through their armour. Custom Mega Cannon taken out. Bubble Chucker on 3 wounds remaining. And that, I believe, is all of the shooting. So now the Warlocks are going to punch that truck to death. And the Warlocks with their Witchblades hack that truck into a pile of scrap. And this is the point that we say this is a resounding victory for Craftworld Eldar, for Ulthwe. So, after post-match analysis, what happened? Well, I think there's part of it. I wonder whether it's a combination of the scenario and the way I played the Orks. I mean, with the 4 objectives strung along the line, what I probably technically should have done is put a truck out to jump on each one early on and spread the big massive Orks out. It doesn't feel particularly orky, that. The Eldar had a lot of mobility, which worked in their favour. Units coming off from reserve. I didn't have particularly fast Ork units. And I think the terrain where I deployed the mech guns, the lines of fire for the Orks on that side of the table were pretty poor. The mech guns didn't really come to bear and take out many of the Eldar units. The lines of sight were really quite restricted. So they were able quite easily to stay out of the way of the artillery. Many thoughts. Mass Shuriken fire close-up was pretty deadly. I don't have a lot of orcs. It's quite a small orc army, mine, because it's based around it being a very rich, small tribe. So they buy a lot of stuff with all their teeth. Which, how well has that worked? I guess maybe I shoulda put something in the teleporter in reserve to deep strike in. I'd definitely in this scenario benefit us with some blood axes, but of course this is a Bad Moon army, so that really doesn't apply. Where did it fall down? The Eldar were able to jump on objectives early doors, and the big crunch of the Ork army that did a lot of damage to the Eldar didn't earn any points doing it. Did I pick good secondary objectives for the Orks? I'm not sure I did. I mean, Linebreaker was a total bust. We did get the 6 points for killing the guy with the biggest hat. And there will be points for attrition. There's probably 40-ish dead models. Eldar dead. So there's probably 4 points from that. We're probably kicking it at somewhere around 20 points with the Bad Moons. And Ulthwe somewhere around 50 at the point at which we call it. Yeah, the backfield range from the Orks didn't do much to take out the Eldar. Whereas the Eldar backfield firepower was pretty deadly. And yeah, they worked well in concert together, which is what Eldar are meant to do. The psychic powers, the different units with the very specialised abilities, each unit did their job, and they did it when they were meant to do it. And when that happens, Eldar armies sing. When that doesn't happen, they crumble. They absolutely crumble. Taking out the battle wagon was absolutely crucial. If that hadn't have happened, there'd have been a ramming speed coming in here, which would have mushed up some of the units that were there. The Mega Knobs would have come out and got a charge on the targets of their choosing, whereas the Eldar rather successfully tar-pitted them down against the Warlocks with their rune armour. I love me some Warlocks. They rocked. They absolutely rocked. Grots did quite well in the end. What would I have to do? You see, I'm restricted with the units that I've got. I have a lot of heavy units because it's lots of things that the bad moods can buy with all their teeth. Not a lot of troops. I think more troops would have been beneficial. Oh, I loved the loot, the 2 points for every armour. So sorry for making them hard boys, and then looting the dreadnought was really good. Still, my thoughts on that psychic power. I'm not sure how much I like the idea of the. I mean, it's a very good power. The buffing of the armour save. I don't know how orky I think it is. The idea that the power just sort of seeps out of the weird boy. It's meant to come out in violent explosions, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, when the Orks hit, they didn't hit particularly hard, whereas the Eldar did. Which is Orks, right? Each individual weapon has the potential to be utterly, utterly devastating, or do very, very little. I mean, the Bubble Chuck is a great case in point. Yeah. I'm really not sure. Really not sure why the Orks got beat so bad. Well, I mean, they didn't manage to get onto objectives in turn one. They were slower getting onto objectives. The Grots didn't make it onto that objective. They had no one to make it up there to that one, whereas the Eldar had someone who could just fly up there. And the Orks advanced over here did not make it close enough to get to one of those objectives. So they were off the objectives in turn two, which meant there was a whole bunch of points they couldn't score. And then when the Eldari reinforcements came in, they got gunned down over here and were kept away from those objectives. And we weren't able to take the Eldar off theirs at any point. I wonder if it's the nature of the scenario. I don't know. I'm rambling now. I am rambling. Well, the Eldar have successfully gained a foothold on this long-forgotten planet and are able to start interfering with this Ork waaaagh and see if they can direct it against the ruinous powers and the servants of chaos. And with that, just a couple of shout-outs. Game Mat is by GameMat.eu. This lovely terrain is by the XLC. Craters by GameMat.eu. Trees from the model railway shop in the Peace Hall in Halifax from years and years and years ago. Dice by DeploymentZone.tv. DeploymentZone.tv dice. Objective counters by cromlech.eu. Yeah, well, it was a lot of fun to play, even if it did become quite one-sided in the middle. So that's how this particular part of this story ends. Who knows what will happen next on this desolate planet? Who knows when I will next make another one with these two adversaries? Who knows? One of the things I struggle with is knowing how to stop talking. So I will simply say, if you are still watching, I hope you enjoyed it, and see you in the next one. Bye for now.